There's a lot of survival shows out there right now. It's a really popular subject, and it's been entertaining to watch. Usually it involves people getting dropped off in the wilderness, and one of the first things they have to do is build a shelter to protect them from the elements. And for the most part, it seems like people are pretty inexperienced and not very skilled at building shelters that will keep out the weather. So I thought for this video, we'll make a shelter in my backyard out of all natural material that's going to be completely weatherproof, rainproof, snowproof, and insulated so that you can spend the night in there and be comfortable. We're going to be making it out of willows and cattails. I've harvested a bunch of cattails out of the wetland. You could also use bulrush for this, but we're going to thatch them together. And we're going to lash these willow posts in a circle and then bend them over and tie into a little dome, and then build a frame to that, and then put on the cattails and just see how well it works. So I'll start by showing you collecting these natural materials, how I did that, and then we'll start building. So I'm out here in a stand of cattails, and what I'm doing is collecting the cattail leaves to make basketry, make a mat, and make shelter. I'm going to make a really cool weatherproof shelter out of cattails, and this is the perfect stage to be collecting them. The leaves are long. These are almost 8 feet long, and they don't have that center stem yet. Here's one that has that center stem and then the little cattail head. And these leaves will work too, but what I like to do is I like to cut and gather this stage before it puts out that stem and that flower head. And it cuts really easy with a sharp piece of obsidian or a knife, and then I just bundle them together and let them dry and store them in my shed, and then I'm ready to build my shelter or do weaving projects in the winter. I like to get them when they're maximum length and just starting to turn color, so they're kind of green on the main stem and the tips are starting to turn. Perfect time to harvest these cattails. So I'm going to get a couple 100 pounds of these leaves here, let them dry, and use them for projects. Perfect size bundle to be hauling off, and I need about 10 more of these. That'd be great. We need to cut a bunch of willow stakes for the main support structure for our shelter, and since I don't have a knife and I'm doing this with Stone Age tools, I am going to use this rock. This is a piece of obsidian, and I'm going to make a hand axe or a chopping tool using this hammer stone here, just a smooth river rock, and I'm going to hit flakes off of this, which will make a good tool for chopping the willow stakes. You just find a ridge or a corner here that you can work with, and perfect, that's all I need. I have a sharp edge right here, and that will be perfect for cutting out our willow stakes. We're now ready to collect the willow stakes that will be the main support structure for our shelter. These are about 1 inch in diameter, and it's a good size because they're strong enough to hold our structure up, and they're still flexible enough to bend on top. So I'm going to collect about 30 of these, and they can easily be broken in half and then chopped free using these stone tools. So I'm just going to, at the base, start chopping. Get that grain ready to split, and then you can kind of bend it right there. Perfect, right where we wanted. Very quick and simple, and we need to collect a bunch of these, so I'll just keep going at it with all of these stakes here. For our cross braces, we're going to use these thin willow shoots. These are very flexible, and we can weave them in and out to make a side support. And what I'm going to do is just use the chopper to harvest these as well. That easy. I need a bunch of these too for our structure, so I'll make a big pile. Now that we've collected all our material for building this structure, including the willow posts here for the main support structure, the thinner willow for the cross bracing, and then the cattail for thatching the walls, the first step is to lay out the structure. And I'm going to do an oval shape and keep it pretty small. I want to keep it smaller because the smaller it is, the better it will be at holding body heat. The bigger structures will require a lot more material and will take longer to heat, but a nice small little, almost like a bird's nest, that will work really well for holding in the heat, and we can make it completely waterproof with the material we have. So I'm just going to start by building the outline of the structure by shoving these willow posts into the ground. So I'm putting in the last of my main support stakes. Here's the circle, that's going to be the walls, and these tend to go in pretty easy. They don't have to go super deep, just enough to secure the bottoms. Now with all our sticks in place, we're ready to start bending the tops over and lashing them at one center point. And what I'm going to do to lash these together and tie them off is use 3 or 4 of these cattail leaves. If they're dried but kind of moist, they work really well for tying these sticks together. It's all natural material and it's really easy to find. So we're just going to start with one side, bend it over. This is going to be the top of the roof, and these are going to lash together down this side of the stick just to make almost like a dome tent. So we can even wrap the loose ends around a few times to help secure them. That works well. Just building the frame of our structure. It's not going to be very huge, but it will be something you can tuck away in and get under the elements. And I'm just going to tie these off just to help make sure that they're structurally sound. These cattail leaves work great as a makeshift rope. Time to do the next one. Bend it over at the same point. And then wrap these smaller tops of one around this side, and that should really help secure it. I'm just going to continue bending these over till we have a good dome. You are going to want to use quite a few of these willow posts just to help build in the strength. These are going to have to withstand wind and the weight of having all the cattails. For these willow main beams, I did about 1 foot spacing at the base, which gives me about 20 total. So it should be pretty strong when they're all secured to each other. I did leave a little wider spacing here at the front because that's where I'm going to build my door. It's just going to be a little hole. I'm going to do a cross brace here and then build a cattail door basically to help insulate and seal off from the weather. One of the nice things about building a structure like this is you can do it very quickly, and if you're in need of some shelter before some bad weather comes in, you don't have to build a huge log cabin. You can just put this simple frame together. The next step is to put more cross braces in, so I'm going to weave in the thinner willows. It's kind of like basket weaving, a big upside down basket that's really going to be a shelter. So we'll start weaving in those cross pieces right now. A strategy I like to use when securing these cross pieces is basically a weaving technique. It's where you start by going over, under, over, under, over, under with one, and then at the same level you do the opposite, which is under, over, under, over, under, over. And you can see as you have a stick on each side, they're working against each other and helping hold each other secure in place. So that will make a great wall. Now that we have our main willow support structure built, this took about 15 minutes and didn't require any cordage. It just simply is weaving the willows in and out on each other. It's like a loosely woven basket or even like a fish trap in design. And we're ready to add our cattail wall. I take 5 or 6 cattails at a time in a clump, and I'm going to do a double thatch where I'm going to have the large end of the cattails running all the way around at the base. And once we're all the way around, we're going to do a second thatch starting at the top and coming down with the large ends all meeting up there. We'll tie those together really good, and hopefully when we're done it should keep out all rain, be waterproof, and hold in a lot of heat. So let's get started. So once you've laid all your cattail bundles together, you can do another willow cross piece on the outside. You stick it behind one of the posts and you bend it over, and that really holds everything together, and then you can weave this into your willow frame and then just continue that, so that way you have willows on the outside and the inside, and that should hold everything in place, and it takes no time at all. You can see just how quickly this wall comes together if you got 2 sticks and your cattail material already. We'll do another little section behind a pole, wrap it around, and weave it in. You got an instant wall. Next piece, wrap it around, weave it in. Our cattail structure is starting to come together, and really it was very quick. I lined the rest of the base of the walls here with the cattails, and it's starting to look like a house from the 3 Little Pigs. I left the door here, which will make a removable door out of cattails too, to help keep out the wind and the rain. And from about here down, It's very thick and I think weatherproof, but as you move up there's a lot of holes as these leaves get thinner. So what we're going to do now is do a second batch where we're going to have the thick end of the cattails at the peak, and we're going to tie them really tightly together, and the rain will hit this and flow down these leaves, and it will be double thatched here. And if there's any holes, you can simply add more cattails. Here's the cattail shelter just after a few hours of work, and it is looking good. It should shed most of the rain, help keep out the weather and hold in heat. And when it does start raining, I'll be able to tell where the holes are and just simply add more cattails. It's great in a survival situation. If you have the material, you can throw this together really quickly and it could save your life. And I'm going to continue to use this. The kids are going to play in it, and it's such a great thing to practice your survival skills. You know, you can read in a book how to build things, but you should really go out and try it yourself. Cattail is such a useful plant. You can make fire with a hand drill on a cattail. You can get the food from the roots, from the pollen, from the stalk. I have videos on the edible uses of cattail. It's just a great plant, and you can weave mats with these leaves. I'm going to fill in this whole base layer with cattail leaves and dried other leaves, just trees around here. And it should be a really insulated, almost like a nest, like one of those mouse nests that are just a big ball of grass, and inside it has to be really warm. As you can see, the weather's going to let me fully test the capabilities of this shelter. It will be great in the summer for providing shade, and it's already proven to be waterproof in the rain. I was in here in a pretty heavy rain and it didn't leak at all. And now the snow is coming down and it's forming a nice insulated layer on there, and it's nice and dry inside. I filled the whole base with cattail leaves, so it's a nice insulated layer off the ground. I made a little door here to block out the weather from coming in. I'm going to show you inside here to show you just how comfortable it is. And it's a great shelter, easy to build, and good for all kinds of weather. Here's how you enter the shelter, through this little hole, and as you can see, some of the snow starting to come in when you don't have the door there. But this is just a simple door of woven cattails, and it should keep all that snow out and keep the heat in. So here's the view from the inside where the door is, and you can see the nice thick cattail leaf bed that we have here that will provide quite a bit of insulation from the ground. So it is doing a really good job. I'm completely dry in here, no snow's coming in here, and it should be a very comfortable shelter to sleep in. So a really cool and easy shelter to make, and you should give it a try.